Hey guys, welcome back to AFK Journey. In today's video, I wanted to have a chat about this here chest that we got in the mail because I've had a lot of people asking questions about not just this chest in specific, but Talene already. People like, okay, so is she better than Rainier? Do I go her over Rainier? Or is Festo the second option? Or is Scarletta the second option? And honestly, we still can't know for sure, but I want to do my best to answer what you can do with this chest itself based on the type of player you are and what you are looking for, because I do think we have some options. I have done a ton of single copy testing over on my free-to-play account. With the Talene, I have now brought her to Legendary Plus, where I am testing her, and then I will bring her to Mythic Plus, and I feel like those are the free-to-play ranges we are going to test her in. Now, this one, I am mainly looking at free-to-play / low-spending players who don't have a ton of things built, because if you're a whale, I mean, just put it into the next one that you were building anyway, which is probably going to be Talene, and away you go. I don't want to jump too far into whale territory, because I am not as in tune with that, because you have so many things built, so it's a bit different. But for free-to-play players, the first thing I'll say, if you're a free-to-play player and you have been building Rainier and you're at like 5 copies, 6 copies, 7 copies, I mean, I'd probably just pick up the Rainiers so you got him at Mythic Plus. I mean, if you've been working towards that, go nuts. I do know a few free-to-plays have been working towards Scarletta, so same thing. If you've been working towards one of these characters and you're really close, I'd probably just pick them up so that then you can get them finished, and then if you want to get a copy of Talene or something like that, you can do that later. Maybe some people are working on Festo. Maybe you just really like Dionel or Burial. Like, same thing. If you're already heavily invested into a character, I think you're pretty safe just to go pick that up so you can get them to Mythic Plus to the viability that you want them a bit faster. Now, if you're only 1 or 2 copies in, then maybe that is when you're going to have a change of thought and maybe pick up a new unit. So let's go through the units first of all and talk about them, because I think this is a very interesting question. And the first thing I want to say is, and it may seem obvious, but some people feel like they have to use this thing straight away. You could always just save it for a bit as well until you want to make a decision, because I can't give you firm advice on whether Talene should take priority over Rainier, over Scarletta, over Festo. I need to test more. But because this question is getting asked so much, I want to go through some of your options. Now, because I have done in a day, I have done a ton of testing of Talene at 1 copy on my free-to-play account. Now, when I talk about my free-to-play account, I want that perspective, because a lot of my characters, some are Supreme Plus, but a lot of them are just at Mythic Plus levels, and I don't have a super heavy exclusive equipment investment into all of my heroes. It's very important to establish the baseline of what your account is when you look at the 1 copy of Talene. I think for a lot of players, 1 copy of Talene is honestly really fun, first of all, but also she does have some utility that a lot of people will find use out of at 1 copy. She's not going to change the game for you at 1 copy. She's not going to be completely game breaking at 1 copy. I don't think a 1 copy Talene is going to be as game changing as a 1 copy Rainier when you first get your Mythic Plus Odie and you can start winning arena matches because of the cheese of the swap. It's not going to be that impactful, and especially now we are further into the game, 1 copy is less impactful, but even at 1 copy, she's capable of dealing really nice damage and having good sustain, but you will be running her in heavy healing comps. But the thing about Talene in general, if you're looking at picking up Talene, and once again, full Giga Nerd meta style, I will get back to you guys in future videos, but in general, when you look at her, I feel like she is that unit that, yes, she works decent at 1 copy, and each time you upgrade her, she's just going to get that bit better, because she is a stat-hungry unit, because, you know, she wants to deal damage and she wants to heal based on her attack and a little bit based on her HP. So you do want to have stats into her. So she's one of those units that gets better over time, feels pretty good to use at 1 copy. And I feel like she has general viability across the board. Arena, she's going to be viable except against Scarletta. AFK stage pushing, I think she's going to be very, very viable in the stall smoky teams because she just has that really good sustain plus some extra damage, so she's really, really solid in those. And then when we look to bossing, I was super impressed with how much damage she actually dealt in the Lone Gaze. It was crazy to me. So I think she's going to have viability in maybe 3-4 of the bosses. We'll have to wait and see how much viability. So I do think with Talene, it's one of those situations where I do think she is going to be generally good at everything. Whether she is the absolute best at anything is now what I'm testing, but I'm definitely comfortable that she is a good hero in pretty much every aspect of the game, meaning that she is just really viable. But whether she is best in slot, that is going to be what we have to wait and see. And it could be a situation where maybe Talene's a great option for free-to-play players to go for because you don't have everything built, and she's just that nice versatile unit. But maybe Rainier still outperforms her in bosses, and Scarletta still outperforms her in PvP. You know what I mean? Like, so we might have those type situations, but because she's one unit that is generally good across the board, that could be where she falls in. So if you want to pick up Talene, I don't think a single copy of Talene is a horrible investment by any stretch. But once again, if you have the others invested, you can keep going into them and get them to your Mythic Plus or wherever you want them. Now, as we look to the others, because another character that I do have one copy of is Festo. Now, Festo is a tank, and you think one copy of Festo as a tank, isn't that great? I still use him in my secondary team every time, but that is because I don't have something like a granny build. I think with Festo, if you're looking at just picking, like, obviously we know with high investment, he is an amazing tank. He's like one of the best stall tanks in the game. But the problem is you need investment for him to outscale something like a granny. My account, the only tank I have properly built is my Thorin. If I had Granny built, I probably wouldn't even stress using this guy at all, because Granny is just like, if you have a Mythic Plus or a Supreme Plus Granny, she's just going to put in more work than a single copy Festo. So if you're like me and you don't have any others, a single copy of Festo is okay, but I wouldn't really highly recommend it for any like over some of the other options, because I know you can quite easily build like a Granny from the shop and stuff like that. I just got my copy of him for testing, because content and stuff like that. Now, Rainier, obviously, if you don't yet have a single copy of Rainier, it probably means because you haven't summoned him yet and you haven't got him from your actual thing, which is the endless login event where we get every character. If you haven't got him yet and you're like 80, 90 days in, just wait and get him from your last login, I'd say. But in general, Rainier is obviously great, and he is one that is fantastic meta in bossing for duping. Now, I controversially have still skipped him for Mythic Plus, because I don't think the damage amplification he brings would impact my account enough to put me up a rank in Dream Realm. I could be wrong on that take. I currently fall around rank 40 to 50, and he would need to push me from rank 40 to 50 up to 20, above 20, and I don't think he's going to do that based on my server. So that's why I have skipped him. But, you know, Rainier is a safe bet to get dupes into, but obviously we do have Talene, and I will do more heavy testing into Talene's dupes. But once again, you can always save this chest as well and wait and see. Now, Burial is a fun unit. I love him. I love the way it feels like Jim Woo off of Solo Leveling with the Arise type thing, but he is more of a luxury fun unit, and the only reason you're pulling for him is because you really enjoy the character. Now, Dionel has his use in PvP, and he is very strong in his usage, but I feel like he is more of a whale unit because he doesn't have the general broad usability. And then we have Scarletta. Scarletta is honestly a fantastic unit, and I've seen some people debating whether they think Scarletta should be a priority for players above Rainier because of her use in PvP. That argument is kind of weathered down a little bit, because it used to be because PvP was so important to push you into Champion if you weren't in Champion, and it was like the idea that pushing into Champion was more important than pushing higher in Dream Realm, because it unlocks the ability to buy those extra Stargazer summons. But now that that's been evened out a bit, maybe it's not as important, but Scarletta is definitely a fantastic unit as well. So I'd say the main three options people are going for. Festo is more of a really sweaty tryhard type unit for AFK stage pushing and stuff like that. Also decent, good in PvP. But yeah, I think the three main options we're looking at are Talene, Rainier, and Scarletta. And I will do a future video talking about priorities of these characters and the type of person you are. But for this chest specifically, if you want to know, should you pick up a Talene, I don't think it's a bad option. Like I said, I think you will have fun with her, and I think she's perfectly decent at one copy, but don't expect her to change the world for you, because she's not going to break the game. Once again, I think she is a safe option to pick up one copy if you do want one. But if you are building one of the other characters and you're heavily duped into them, you may as well just pick them up, finish them off first, and then if you decide you want to test out a Talene, well then maybe you go ahead and you pick her up from the guild store, from the store, or from a stargazing pool. But I think if you're heavily invested in one of these other characters, just finish them off first, because that should be your priority, because that's what you've been focusing in on and working towards getting. So that is my thought on the chest. Like I said, you can always just save it if you want, but I think Talene, I think Talene, Rainier, Scarletta are the main options for most players, and then Festo is another one who is more specific, and I think more higher spenders are going to be focusing in on him harder. But that's just my thoughts anyway. But you guys let me know what you're doing. Like I said, Talene is hella fun over on my free-to-play account at 1 copy even, and even scaling up. She just keeps getting better with stats now that I am testing her at Legendary Plus, and looking forward to testing her at Mythic Plus as well. So those are your options. I'm going to shut up now. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.